My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, my servants would have been fighting that I might not be delivered over to the Jews. But my kingdom is not of the world. It is Thursday, the 30th day of March, 2023. Clive Walsh here, and encouraging you to join me for the next 5 minutes or so as we take in our devotional thought for today, and then share it. Share it with a friend, especially the things that God has spoken to you specifically through this as you commit it to not only prayer, but to practice. And our devotional thought today is entitled, The Kingdom and the Cross. And the verse today, John chapter 18, verses 36, and it reads, My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, my servants would have been fighting that I might not be delivered over to the Jews. But my kingdom is not of the world. That's John chapter 18, verse 36. Pastor Alistair Begg writes, When Jesus arrived in Jerusalem on that first Palm Sunday, he was a king on a donkey, a king without a palace, a king without a throne, a king with no apparent kingdom. It rapidly became abundantly and controversially clear that Christ had come as the suffering king, whose the Scripture had foretold, not as a triumphant king whom the people wanted. Many who admired Jesus on that day in Jerusalem eventually discarded him. They said, I don't want any suffering. I only want victory. I only want power. I only want rule. Not much is different today. We often ignore what we don't like in Jesus' ministry and content ourselves with Jesus the great example, Jesus the problem fixer, Jesus the guru, or Jesus the political reformer. But God's kingdom centers on the cross. I decided to know nothing among you, says Paul, except Jesus Christ and him crucified. 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 2. In other words, we will never understand Jesus, never truly trust him, never really love him, never actually be in his kingdom until we understand that the entrance to and the heart of Christ's kingdom is death and resurrection. It is the means by which we come into it and the pattern by which we live in it. A renewed culture comes about not because we transform institutions and policies, but because that cross-centered kingdom transforms human hearts. Never in history has a revival been sparked in political activity. It has always resulted as Christians praying, preaching, pleading, and living as Christ calls us to live. The world will only ever be changed when we ourselves are changed. God's kingdom is a cause great enough to live for and great enough to die for. Do you want to give up your small ambitions and give yourself to God? Then give up championing on a political cause as a means of safeguarding the health of the church or your society, or of making revival happen. Instead, go somewhere where nobody knows Jesus and tell them. Maybe it's in your office. Maybe it's in your neighborhood. Maybe it's in Tehran, or Russia, or Ukraine. It can be anywhere, for God is everywhere and is needed by everyone. Give up living by the maxims of the system of this world and follow the King who tasted death before he entered his glory. Luke chapter 24, verse 26. Believers have the immense privilege and the incredible challenge of offering the good news of God's kingdom to a society that fears death and knows little of true life. That is no easy commission, and heeding it may very well cost you dearly in this life. But no one who gives much for Jesus has come to regret it, now or through all eternity. And what a true statement that is. We will never regret what we've given up here on earth for what awaits us in eternity. May God, by the Spirit, just stir our hearts to know and to realize in truth that there's a close connection between the kingdom and the cross. Clive Walsh here, trusting that this devotional thought was an encouragement as well as perhaps a stirring conviction for you, and may it lead you to pray and ask God to have His will be done and His kingdom come in your life this very day. And for those of you reading through the scriptures in a year, your assignment today is Proverbs chapter 19 and 20, as well as the book of Hebrews, chapter 1. Clive Walsh here. May the Lord richly bless you and give you a great day.